You are fast asleep, no sound, no dreams, and suddenly, your eyes pop open. It is 3 in the morning. Your heart is beating a little bit faster than normal. Your mind is already running at full speed before you can even remember where you are. Have you ever had that feeling? Or that thick white coating on your tongue every morning when you wake up? You brush your teeth, you scrape it off, and the next morning it is right back there. Exactly the same. Or that dull ache in your right shoulder. Your doctor told you it is from your posture at work. You believed them. You bought an ergonomic pillow. You changed your chair. The pain is still there. Or that 2 o'clock in the afternoon crash, your brain feels as thick as concrete. It is not from a lack of sleep. It is not because you are lazy. Coffee does nothing to solve it. You simply cannot function. None of this is random. Your liver has been sending the exact same message through all of those signs, and most people will not know it until a blood test confirms that the damage has already occurred. Today we are going to decode all 9 of those signals. Not the obvious signs that everyone knows about, but the signals your body has been sending out 6 months, 12 months, or even 18 months before any test picks up a single thing. Let us break it down. Here is what is truly happening inside your body. Your liver performs more than 500 functions at the same time. It filters every single molecule that enters your bloodstream. It produces bile, metabolizes hormones, stores glucose, and neutralizes toxins. It never stops. But here is what the healthcare system does not tell you. The liver has no pain receptors. It cannot send an urgent distress signal directly to your brain. So when the liver begins to struggle, it reroutes that signal through every other system it connects to. Your skin, your digestive system, your sleep, your right shoulder, your tongue. Think of the liver as a processing plant where the main alarm bell is broken. So when the system is overloaded, the signs begin to appear at every other exhaust vent in the building. By the 9th minute, you will understand why 3 of these signals are the very ones that most people and most general practitioners are actively ignoring, and why that neglect is the most expensive mistake you could ever make. The first group of signals includes what happens while you are sleeping. Signal number 1 is that 3 in the morning wake-up call we just talked about. It is not insomnia. Here is what is actually going on. Your liver is responsible for keeping your blood sugar levels steady throughout the night by releasing stored glycogen. When liver function is compromised, it loses the ability to do that reliably. Your blood sugar drops, your brain signals an emergency, and your adrenal glands pump out cortisol to compensate. And that cortisol wakes you up, with your heart beating faster and your mind instantly racing, about 90 minutes after your glucose levels drop. It is not insomnia, it is a metabolic overflow, and it happens night after night because the root problem is never addressed. Signal number 2 is that coating on your tongue every morning. You have been scraping it off every day for months, maybe even years, and it always comes back. Here is why. Your liver produces bile, which is an alkaline fluid that helps digest fat. When liver function declines, the flow of bile slows down and the bile becomes stagnant. While you sleep, when your digestive system is at rest, bile acids and unprocessed materials back up into your digestive tract. They leave a trail on the surface of your tongue, creating a white or yellow coating that your body reproduces every single night because the root source is still there. You do not have an oral hygiene problem. You have a bile stagnation problem. Signal number 3 is night sweats without a fever. This is the signal that most people ignore the most. The liver is responsible for metabolizing and removing hormones, including estrogen. When the liver cannot process estrogen effectively, estrogen levels build up in your system. That hormonal imbalance disrupts thermoregulation, which is the mechanism your body uses to maintain a stable temperature while you sleep. The result is episodes of night sweats with nothing to explain them, no fever, no menopause, and no infection. This affects both men and women because everyone metabolizes estrogen through the liver. This is the signal that most people overlook. Those 3 signals happen while you are sleeping. The next group is happening right now, every single time you eat. Signal number 4 is a dull ache in your right shoulder or the right side of your neck. Your doctor calls it a muscle strain, or they call it poor posture. Perhaps they call it tech neck. Here is what is truly happening. The liver sits right below the diaphragm on the right side. When the liver is inflamed or enlarged, it puts pressure on the phrenic nerve, which is a nerve that runs straight upward and branches out to your right shoulder and neck. Your brain interprets that signal as pain in the shoulder, not in the abdomen, because that is how the nerve line is wired. Your doctor calls it posture, but your body calls it something completely different. Signal number 5 is nausea after a high-fat meal. You think you are intolerant to fat, so you avoid red meat, you avoid butter, and you avoid eggs. But the food is not the problem. The problem is the bile. To digest fat, your body needs enough bile to emulsify it, which means breaking it down into pieces small enough to absorb. When liver function declines, bile production drops. Fat passes through your digestive system without being processed correctly, and your digestive system reacts with irritation and nausea. You are not fat intolerant. The processing plant is just running low on fuel. Signal number 6 is that 2 o'clock in the afternoon energy crash. This is the one most people blame on their morning coffee, or their lunch, or a lack of sleep. But the real mechanism lies in liver function. After a meal, your liver is responsible for regulating the amount of glucose released into your bloodstream, preventing glucose levels from spiking too high and then dropping too low. When that function is impaired, you get a glucose spike after eating, followed by a sudden crash about 2 to 3 hours later. It is not because you ate the wrong thing. It is because the regulator can no longer maintain stability. Now we come to the signals that are harder to ignore, because they are visible on your skin, in your eyes, and in a pattern that your mirror has been showing you for months. Signal number 7 is itchy skin without a rash. You scratch, but there is nothing there, no redness, no bugs. It is just an itch that moves around, is hard to pinpoint, and is especially worse at night. Here is what is happening. When the liver cannot excrete bile salts properly, they accumulate in your blood and deposit under your skin. The bile salts beneath the surface of the skin trigger itch receptors, and there is no way to treat it from the outside because the source is on the inside. It is not dry skin, and it is not an allergy. It is bile beneath the surface. Signal number 8 is persistent acne, especially along the jawline. The skincare industry has made billions of dollars off this exact signal. Here is the real mechanism. The liver is responsible for clearing androgens, which are testosterone and related hormones, from your system after they have finished their job. When liver function is compromised, androgens are not cleared properly, so they circulate at higher levels. The excess androgens stimulate your sebaceous glands to produce more oil. The result is chronic acne that does not respond to any topical treatment because you are treating the exhaust vent. The processing plant is the problem. Your skincare routine is addressing the exhaust vent, but the processing plant is the real issue. Signal number 9 is the whites of your eyes turning slightly yellow. This is the final signal your body sends before the system starts showing up on paperwork. Bilirubin is a byproduct of breaking down old red blood cells, and the liver is responsible for processing and excreting it. When liver function declines, bilirubin builds up in your bloodstream. Before the levels are high enough to trigger your standard blood test, it begins to deposit in your tissues, especially in the whites of your eyes. Here is the most important thing you need to understand about this signal. By the time your alanine aminotransferase, which is the standard liver enzyme your doctor checks, is elevated enough to flag, your liver has already lost about 30% of its functional capacity. These 9 signals exist long before that number moves. Your body does not wait for a test. It has already sent the report a long time ago. Now here is what you do with this information. Step number 1 is getting blood tests that your doctor might not have ordered yet. A standard panel will give you alanine aminotransferase, aspartate aminotransferase, and total bilirubin. That is a starting point, but it is not the full picture. Ask for more. Gamma-glutamyl-transferase, which is more sensitive to early liver damage than alanine aminotransferase. Request direct bilirubin, separate from total bilirubin, as that split shows you whether there is a blockage in the bile ducts. And request a fasting insulin test because insulin resistance is one of the leading causes of non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, and most standard panels do not include it. This is not a diagnosis. This is a conversation you are starting with your own data before it becomes necessary. Step number 2 involves 3 dietary triggers to eliminate first. This is not about starving. It is about reducing the load. First is fructose, especially from sugary drinks and processed foods. The liver is the only organ that can metabolize fructose, and when the load is too high, it converts excess fructose directly into liver fat. Next is alcohol, even in moderate amounts. Acetaldehyde, which is the byproduct of alcohol metabolism, directly damages liver cells. There is no safe threshold when your liver is already signaling. Finally, seed oils, such as soybean oil, corn oil, and sunflower oil. The high omega-6 content promotes inflammation in liver tissue and disrupts the mitochondrial function of liver cells. Eliminate those 3 things for 30 days first before adding anything else. Step number 3 is the nutrient that most liver protocols completely ignore: choline. Choline is an essential component for the liver to transport fat out of liver cells. When you are deficient in choline, fat accumulates in the liver, which is exactly the mechanism of non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. Data from the National Health and Nutrition Examinations Survey, which is the largest national nutrition survey in the United States, shows that most adults do not reach the recommended daily intake of choline. Food sources include eggs, especially the yolks, animal liver, and sunflower lecithin. No expensive supplements are needed. Just realize that deficiency is common and the consequences are specific. Now you have the translation. Here is the true meaning of all of this. Your liver does not fail suddenly. It is constantly sending signals for months, sometimes even years, through your sleep, your skin, your digestive system, your shoulder, and your eyes. The system tells you to wait for a blood test, but your body is running on a completely different schedule. Your body is not broken, it is responding. These 9 signals are not symptoms of a disease. They are a protocol that your biology built specifically so you can catch this before it becomes irreversible. The question is not whether your liver is sending signals. The question is whether you have been trained to hear them. Leave a comment saying decode below if any of these 9 signals match something you have been ignoring for months. I read every single comment, and if signal number 4, the shoulder pain, surprised you, the next video will dive deeper into referred visceral pain. These are the signals your body sends through locations that have nothing to do with where the problem actually exists. It covers 4 organs, not just one. It is one of the most misread things in modern medicine, and you will not look at your symptoms the same way after watching it.